is a new what if, and also a what if I've been working on. Now, you're probably wondering, why is this what if coming out before the what if Irma had the omnitrix videos coming out? Basically, that video is going to be coming out after this one, or maybe after what if Deku was a Greek legend part 2. Now, basically, for you to understand the what if, for like my next what if Deku was a Greek legend, you don't really have to watch part 1, but I should just watch it anyways. So let's get ready, guys. So basically, we start our story off with Callum. Now, everything in canon would actually go exactly the same, because we're going to be skipping about all the way to episode 4, because that's when omnitrix could possibly, land in the way of Callum. Now, basically, that night when the king is being, getting his funeral, before the 7 days of him supposedly getting his funeral, basically, in this universe, the elf girl would actually be asleep, other than, messing with her, pretty much, her bind. So, basically, Callum would wake up that night hearing some sort of whispering, or some sort of, pretty much, wisp of, energy, or some sort of change in the wind. He would get up, looking around, but also getting the sudden urge, pee, like anybody would get, and started to pee. But he heard something crash in the distance, and he saw some sort of green glow coming from a couple of, feet in the forest. So he went into the forest more and more, and found some sort of middle orb. This middle orb looked like a bigger version of the pretty much magic orb Callum had. So Callum went closer to it, and it opened up, and it was some sort of watch thing. And it jumped on Callum's arm when he tried to grab it. It jumped on his arm, and Callum tried to take it off, and the omnitrix evaporated the clothes that it latched on Callum's wrist. And Callum's whole sleeve was gone, but pretty much Callum started to try to take it off or rip it off, but nothing was to avail. Callum was super, frustrated at this, and eventually just took apart and pretty much, dealt with it. He started experimenting with it, and then he opened up the dial. The dial went up, and he started looking through the dial, seeing silhouettes of creatures and, animals. He clicked on one with some sort of blobby type of creature, and it transformed into, before we get any closer, guys, basically, Callum will have all the classic aliens as been in season 1, and basically he'll get all the new aliens Ben would get after Ben got cannonballed. So yeah, so basically he would transformed into Diamond Head. Pretty much Callum would be running around trying to, look around, looking at his body, seeing it was some sort of crystal-like, material. He started messing with it for about 10 minutes, and 5 minutes after it transformed, and started pretty much cutting down trees, making diamond constructs and stuff like that, tripping a little bit, saying this is awesome, running around making diamond constructs, slides, pretty much swords and everything. Eventually, him timing out, but with him making a diamond sword, him timing out by falling down to the ground with his hand still around the giant diamond sword he made. Pretty much Callum was super excited by this, and this noise surprisingly didn't wake up the others, and pretty much he started dragging the diamond sword back to the, pretty much area. Now, he would have thrown the diamond sword to the ground, light enough so it wouldn't wake anybody up, and he would have passed out after the exhilarating night he had, and also the excitement. Now guys, let's explain the, whole entire limitations of Callum's omnitrix. Now, the omnitrix would have the same limitations that Ben would have at the beginning. Him pretty much being able to transform into one alien at a time, but eventually Callum would get that ability to transform into alien near the end of season 1. Now, for season 2, Callum would get the pretty much a lighter, more smoother omnitrix from Benton Aliens. So in season 2 he'll get that, and for season 3 he'll get the Omniverse Omnitrix. But pretty much let's go into the origin of how the Omnitrix got into the magic world of Xedian. Pretty much the omnitrix would have actually went on his pretty much trying to go to the to the Benton universe, but would be transferred towards a wormhole, pretty much it can teleport into another dimension, meaning that Vilgax would attract the, alien or the Omnitrix to Earth, meaning that Ben would be the Omnitrix, and pretty much the world would be pretty much the same. Now, basically, pretty much, Callum would be awake seconds after the Omnitrix landed in that wormhole and into, Callum's universe. Now, pretty much Asm to find a way to get to that universe and try to figure out where the Omnitrix went, and that would not be in the pretty much Benton. That would not be in the what if until about a couple hours, a couple maybe like near season 2. So basically, Callum would get started and ready for his. Now that's enough for the Omnitrix. Now he has all the aliens that Ben has when he started off, including what was it, Cannonball. Then he would get, Wildvine, Ben Wolf, Way Big, all that other stuff. Now Ben would actually get Way Big at the beginning of season 2. I mean, Callum would get the pretty much Way Big at the end or the beginning of season 2. So yeah, let's get started, guys, and get ready. So basically, Callum would wake up the next morning, basically being next to his pretty much brother and his, elf friend. Basically, him studying the Omnitrix instead of the pretty much orb. Now, he would have looked at the orb, trying to compare him thinking that the Omnitrix is some sort of magic device or magic relic. So he would, think it was the same magic. So he would have looked for more magic items. Him actually studying the Omnitrix, but also studying the orb. Now, he wouldn't know that he would have multiple transformations, but he would put two together, seeing different silhouettes mean different transformations. So he would be pretty smart. So basically, Callum would have talked about, alien, pretty much, what was it? Pretty much magic artifacts, and basically Laura, I actually do not remember her name. I'm probably going to remember her name in the next scene, but basically, Rayla would be hesitant pretty much to go after the whole entire, magic block or magic cube Callum found basically at the Winter Lodge. And basically, Callum would have told her that that place is empty this month, pretty much blah blah blah, saying it's been empty for months. Pretty much Rayla would be kind of, hesitant, but at first she would go with it after hearing, the whole time how Callum was never really good at anything growing up, and wasn't really good at anything princely. So basically, Callum would have gotten ready, and they would have went towards the pretty much Winter Lodge. Now basically, Callum would have not told them about the Omnitrix, and them not really noticing it on his wrist. Basically, Callum they would have been walking around. Basically, just imagine that Omnitrix as in like the same digital Omnitrix or CGI Omnitrix that Ben had in Aliens Destroy the Omnitrix or whatever. I don't know, that CGI Ben 10 movie. So basically, they would have got ready and went towards the pretty much Winter Lodge. Basically, they would be on their way to the Winter Lodge, and pretty much Callum's younger brother, or Prince would have been asking for something to drink. Basically, her giving him some sort of vial with red, juice in it. Pretty much Callum thinking it was blood, saying that we don't drink blood, not to be, rude or anything. Basically, Raya, pretty much getting kind of angry, saying that, first of all, we're not blood-sucking monsters or anything. Basically, Callum would say, no, it's not like that. I didn't mean it like that. So basically, for the whole entire, when they get to the Winter Lodge, they would get ready, and pretty much Callum would have told Roya how to get in and where she would go to get the magic cube. Basically, she would have said, let's do this quick, in and out. Pretty much her running straight towards into the pretty much main room where she's supposed to go. Now, Callum would have looked at the omnitrix tinkering with it. Basically, his little brother saying, "What is that?" Pretty much him saying it's nothing. It's just some sort of, it's something I found on the trees. Him putting it on the back of his, putting it behind him, hiding his hand from him. Pretty much his brother would be suspicious, but not really asking any more questions. Now, Callum would have looked at the Winter Lodge, looking around, and basically, a couple guards would have came to the lodge. Basically, Callum saying we forgot, something about, Dad was sending us here, and I'm pretty sure the kingdom would know that come here searching for us. So basically, they would have came, pretty much, their Aunt Amaya coming towards, pretty much, the building, seeing that the window was open, thinking that somebody was in there. She would have tried to walk in there, pretty much Callum trying to stop her. She would have, said that she would have told him to get out of the way. She doesn't know how to talk, or she's mute, I guess. So basically, Callum tries to slow her down, saying that maybe just stay here for a couple minutes, a few hours, whatever, how long it takes for me to find a key. Pretty much her just kicking down the door and pushing him out the way, or just nudging him out the way. So they would have ran up in there, looking around. Pretty much, his aunt Anaya would have been asking him questions by her translator. Pretty much him saying, "What do you mean?" Blah blah blah, acting dumb. Pretty much Callum would find something smart to do. Pretty much telling his brother to try to tell Amaya something to get her off of the elf's tail or Ryder's tail. Pretty much his brother would have told him that, I skipped breakfast. Pretty much his Aunt Maya saying that it's the most important meal of the day. Basically, them switching towards looking for food. And they would have been looking for food, and pretty much, Callum would have been hiding the omnitrix under his new sleeve, because he would have sewed back the sleeve from the omnitrix latching onto him, and pretty much pinning the sleeve over his omnitrix, trying to hide it from, Aunt Maya. They would have been looking around the food, finding a baguette, seeing that it was whipping grade, seeing that it was so stale to a point where it could be used as a freaking bat. So, basically, they would have, pretty much Aunt Maya would have been asked from Callum saying, "Why are you here, Aunt Maya?" Pretty much Aunt Maya explaining or telling her translator to say that she was sent here by a message from your father or from, the king. Pretty much her being told to basically, come here in case the kingdom fell. So pretty much Callum would read a whole entire letter, pretty much them getting ready and the troops circling the building. Pretty much the troops would have been running around and pretty much walking around the whole entire building, setting up the door back up after Anamaya kicked it down, like straight up Terminator style, and everything would have gone exactly the same. Near what? So basically, Callum would have been looking at the omnitrix, pulling down his sleeve, pulling up his sleeve, I meant. Pretty much looking at the omnitrix and opening up the dial, looking at it. Pretty much he would have examined it more and more. Pretty much not pushing down the dial, scared that he would transform, and they wouldn't know that was him, and they would try to, attack him. So basically, exit. Pretty much, Callum and his younger brother have the same conversation like a can, saying that, pretty much Maya sees Elsa as monsters, and we can't just tell her about, the egg, and that won't change until we take this egg back to Zadia. Pretty much saying that the egg is kind of the most important thing we have to do right now and get it back to Zadia. Now, Callum would have been told by his brother the same thing, like a companion, but his brother would actually ask him about the thing on his wrist more and more. Callum would have told him that he found it in the forest last night, and it turned him into some sort of creature that he could, do a lot of things with, make objects and all sorts of other stuff. Pretty much his brother Callum taking out some sort of piece of diamond that he took from this diamond sword he made, pretty much looking at it, saying that I don't know what this is made out of, but it's super hard to break. I had to hit it under some water last night and straight up jump on it over a whole entire pillar, over and over again. It took at least an hour to get it, even a shard of it broken off. So basically, Callum would have said to get ready, and we have to find Rayla and get out of here and get back to Zadia. Get to the Zadia and give the, egg up. So basically, he would have walked away from his little brother, pretty much looking around. Now, we switched to Aurelia, sneaking around the lodge, pretty much looking around for, the princess. Now, she would have actually been looking for the cube to get out of here, so she can, get out, so she won't get caught by the guards and, killed. So, she would have found the cube, and pretty much say, that was okay. That was relatively easy. Pretty much, her looking at the block, pretty much her getting stuck up on by pretty much Aunt Araya or Aunt Alea, pretty much her slicing or striking towards Aurelia. Aurelia would have dodged it and started to fight with the aunt or Aunt Araya, Aunt Elena. Pretty much, Aurelia would have gotten captured by Aunt Mia. I'm just gonna say Aunt. Okay, I'm just gonna say Aunt. So basically, she would have been captured, and she would have been pretty much everything would go as it can. But basically, instead of pretty much Callum having the same idea as pretty much his little brother, he would have actually went for help for the omnitrix. Basically, his brother saying to go, transform into that diamond creature and get her out there and bust out of this place. Pretty much Callum was saying maybe I should go for another alien. Or another creature. That's what he said. Another creature. I'm probably going to say alien for narrating purposes. Basically, he would have gone for the more other blobby type of fiery looking creature. He would have pressed it down, but he would actually get Ghost Freak instead of Heat Blast. He would have looked at himself saying, this is weird. Basically, his brother getting kind of scared, saying that your voice is really scary and that you look really creepy. He would have said, don't be scared, pretty much flying down. Seeing that himself is turning invisible, he would have flied in there and pretty much turning invisible, pretty much flying through the guards and looking at Aurelia, I don't know. Basically, his little brother would actually still send down pretty much his pet down there to pretty much distract the guards. Basically, kind of hurting Callum as well, since light or sunlight is a weakness to Ghost Freak, but actually this light or the magic attack or light, whatever, would actually hurt Ghost Freak a little bit. Pretty much him turning back into a tangible or touchable item. So he would have seen that, they would have gotten ready for battle. So pretty much Callum's little brother would come down, grabbing his pet, pretty much them about to get out of there as quick as possible. Pretty much Aurelia asking for Callum, where is he? Basically, Callum coming behind her saying, it's me. She being confused, saying, what are you now? Pretty much him saying, I'll explain later, but we gotta go now. Him grabbing both of them, flying out there, trying to get, flying out there as quick as possible. Pretty much, they would have, one of them pretty much saying, stay back from the prince, beast. Pretty much looking at Callum, thinking that he was some sort of beast or monster, like, Aurelia. Basically, he would have been flying around, pretty much saying, let's do this, him hearing the famous and his omnitrix glowing red, and him tying back into, him. Pretty much his aunt would have been confused, his translator saying to, basically, this is very, very, very weird, blah, blah, blah. Pretty much him explaining to her that I have a magic relic now, and I don't need any more protecting. Pretty much making the whole entire plan about how, Aurelia is a monster that would suck our blood if you don't let us go, blah, blah. Pretty much, she would have said to get away from, it, and pretty much saying to take, the elf down. They're shooting arrows at the elf. Now, pretty much, Pretty much, Cal would have tried to mess with the omnitrix more and more, trying to make it work again, pounding on it as hard as possible. But him grabbing into his, pretty much thing, grabbing his orb, saying it better work. So they basically would have, grabbed the princess, pretty much saying that you take another shot on me in their lives. Pretty much getting away, grabbing a boat and pretty much swimming off or riding off and getting away, quick as possible. Now, basically, Now, they would have sent Corba, or whatever, to the black guy. Basically, I actually did not know his name. I don't remember his name. I think they gave him a name like Corba, so I'm just gonna call him K. So yeah, basically K would have basically gotten been told to track them and with the opportunity to free the princes. Now, basically, they still would have the same conversation about how, Arias is super angry, calling, Callum a jerk, saying that, how that feels, do you know how bad that feels to be called a bloodthirsty monster? Callum would have said, I never knew how it hurt you, but I never, I don't, think that. Saying that I thought she would back down if she knew that, if she thought that you would kill us. Pretty much her saying, well, it didn't work, she tried to kill me, blah, blah, blah. But her actually saying to Callum that it was throwing the block towards him later on after she asked a question about his wrist thing or his omnitrix. Her grabbing it, saying, what is it? Him saying I found it in the forest the night before we went to the, pretty much cabin. Pretty much her saying that you could have just turned into that ghost creature, grab it, and we could have been out and in. Pretty much him saying I don't know how many creatures it's in or I can transform into yet. Pretty much her saying we need to train with it and find out what you can do. In case we ran into any of the guards or any other, elves or something like that. So basically, Cal would have said, okay. So Cal would have gone and thrown, the toy or the item that he was looking for. Callum would have gotten pretty much told her about more about the omnitrix, but him grabbing the children's toy and basically would have dropped it towards the pretty much crystal orb, basically. And probably wondering about the whole entire crystal thing. Basically, Cal never used it. He just thought about the plan before he ever tried to use magic to defend, all three of them. So basically, Callum would have gotten ready and would have gotten pretty much started on the whole entire, thing. So basically, we could switch back to the castle where the mage or the, prince's friend or best friend was basically getting ready to get crowned, or crowning time was going to start. Doing the coordination of the mage about to get, crowned, the aunt was showing up telling them through her translator, pretty much saying that, the princes are still alive. And that's where we're going to end off episode 4. Now, I'm going to end it off here, and part 2 will be about episode 5 and 6, so I'm going to put 2 episodes together for part 2. So part 2 is going to be a little bit longer, so yeah. So guys, I hope you guys enjoy part 1. I hope you guys like and subscribe, and as always guys, have a blessed day. Bye.